is a very warm welcome to Hope Channel Kenya, and the program is Siri ya Ushindi. That means the secrets of victory. I know sometimes you wonder, why did we come up with this type of name for a program? Why this title? It is because we try to bring you people that the Lord has taken through some fires, and they are refined and ready to share what the Lord has done for them. And so they are sharing the secrets of victory. We are starting a very special series, a series of things that sometimes we may not take serious or take for granted. Have you ever imagined how a lady who loses her husband moves on? Or a man who loses a wife moves on? Many times at the end of the day, once we do the burials, we leave and we tell them, oh, we'll pray for you, we'll be there for you. But when did you go back to that home to see that lady again? When did you support their children? When did you pray for them? How did they actually move on? And this has been a big challenge in our community. We have many people that are struggling. We have decided to focus our attention on widowhood and singlehood. But we are going to start with two very special ladies today. They lost their husbands, and so they are called widows. But the beauty about them is that they have taken Christ. And so that gap of their husbands is already filled by Christ being in their hearts and in their homes. So they are coming here to share as people who are so treasured of God. After all, God says, the widows and orphans are mine. Amen. So they are here as victors. They are not coming here to share stories of victims. They are coming to share stories of those that the Lord has taken out of the ashes, and they are willing to share their stories. So as you watch this program, pray for them and encourage that lady, that man, that orphan, the person that has lost their loved one, to stay around and watch Hope Channel to see how the Lord can still fight for you. And so I'm privileged to have very special ladies. One of them is actually, I call her my mom. Her name is Mrs. Hepzibah Nyamwange. She's a member of Nairobi South Church, Seventh-day Adventist Church, where she served for many, many years. And the other one is Mrs. Joyce Bundi, a member of Parkland's Seventh-day Adventist Church. They are leaders of the church in their own rights, but they also do other things for a living. So we want to welcome to the show. You are very welcome, ma'am. And thank you for willing to come.
Amen.
Today we want to start from those experiences. How long ago did you get married?
Wow. 63.
1963. Wow. How did you meet your sweetheart?
Well, there's a story. I was in the camp meeting, and my cousin comes with a young man. My mother was very generous, invited them for lunch. So he saw me, and I think he had been told about me.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's why they came. That's how we started the friendship.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in school. When he proposed that we get married, I said, I have to finish school.
You were studying?
Yeah.
What level were you?
Form 2.
Oh, you were so...
Yeah, Form 2.
Uh-huh.
So as I finished, I went to teach as a pupil teacher. Started with Nyanchwa boarding school. I was changed to Birongo primary school. And from there I got married.
So he waited for that long?
Of course he did.
Wow, that's special. 1963. And Joyce, tell us a bit about, how did you meet this Mr. Right?
This Mr. Right, I found Mr. Right when I was joining college, KMTC, Nakuru. So as I was going to my home in Kisii, I had friends. These friends were my older friends of my brother. So as I was visiting them, they said, we have seen somebody the family we know.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was now going through college and finishing, now we had fallen in love.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got him.
But generally, what you two are saying is that it took quite a bit of time. You didn't just find Mr. Right and get married the following day. So there was quite a bit of waiting to do.
Yeah, I was encouraged.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
In those days, what were people looking for in a good wife, do you think?
Well, a good girl who can maintain their home, who is friendly to the community,
Mm-hmm.
and who will take care of the home.
Mm-hmm. So I guess these are the qualities that they saw in you. He was a
so.
Christian,
He was,
an Adventist?
yes.
Okay, and was your husband a Christian?
Yeah, I was a Christian.
An
and
Adventist.
home.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So now, so you got married in 1963. How many children do you have?
Do we say how many children we have? You didn't mean it? I have 9.
Amen. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. You
2
don't look
boys.
like you have 9.
Well, I am.
Uh-huh.
2 boys and 7 girls.
Amen. God is good.
Yes,
How
so
was
it's
it
good.
like bringing up the 9 children? You look so strong.
Well, it wasn't easy, but with God, everything is possible.
Amen.
It wasn't easy, especially when he left me and he slept.
Mm.
It was a struggle. But I invited God in my life,
Mm.
and I struggled. It was not easy.
When he died, how old was your firstborn?
She had married.
She
The
had
3
got-
girls had gone,
Mm-hmm.
had already
Been
married.
married.
Mm.
But you still had 6 children to
Yes,
take care of.
I did have 6 children.
And did you have a job?
No, I had retired, actually.
You had retired.
I had retired and entered in a small business
Mm-hmm.
of selling juice
Mm-hmm.
and soya drink
Mm.
in the Kenyatta market.
Mm.
So he died actually when I was doing that business.
Mm-hmm.
He was also a retiree.
Mm-hmm.
He had also an office where he was doing consultants.
Mm.
He was an architect.
Mm-hmm.
So he was sick for 5 years. And when he died, we were almost bankrupt.
Mm. You had
Because
spent
For
everything.
5 years, he had taken all the money
Mm.
to the hospitals.
So he had a terminal illness.
Yes. Which took him 5 years
5 years.
in the hospital, out of the hospital.
And that meant that you were also not concentrating on your business anymore.
But
Because
the Lord somehow sustained us.
Mm.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you know the doctors broke the news that this guy actually has a terminal illness? Did you pray? I mean, how?
We couldn't believe. But I think God was with us.
Mhm.
Most doctors who were treating him were elders of the churches.
Okay.
They worked hard to see how they can help him. In fact, because they were praying so much, that's why it took these 5 years.
Mhm.
Mm.
And he was a man of faith.
He was a man of faith.
So,
In
but
fact-
but watching him each day as he went down, what happened to your heart? How did you feel?
Well, I trusted in him who
Amen.
gave him life.
Mm.
I didn't give up that he's going to die. I was always praying that he can revive him.
Amen.
Every day. Until one day, one pastor came It was Pastor Misiani. And when he had a cancer, myeloma of the blood. So, you know, when the pains could come, he could just cry like a cow. And his face wrinkled, and he cried. And so Pastor Misiani asked him, after the pains have gone down, still, Mr. Silas, do you still trust in God? He said, yes. I trust him. Then, to cut the story short, that night, that's when he slept.
Wow, 5 years with a terminally sick patient. How did the children take it?
Well, before, the first time when he was sick in 91, we were all gathered as a family. And I thank God he gave me my brothers-in-law. Some of them are the doctors. So we sat together with those doctors who were elders of the church, and they told us frankly that it is 50-50. And we happened to have my sister-in-law who was a nurse, so she was strong. And but we cried. We cried, and we said, Lord, please, not now. Not now. Give him some times. To even, he was building our church, Nairobi South Church. Give him some time so that he can finish the church and he can put his family in a position where we can continue from there.
Amen. And the Lord gave him 5 years.
And Lord gave him 5 years. We didn't tell him to give him 5 years, but we asked for some time.
And the Lord gave 5 years. We thank God for that.
Yeah.
Joyce, tell me.
Yeah, with me, my husband of the illness. My husband, before he was sick, was working with a clearing agent. And during that is the time now people were being retrenched. So when he was retrenched, he started having worries. How can my family survive? The mother was alone. She was also a widow at that time. He was the firstborn among the sons. He was supporting the other siblings and the family. So he had many worries. So when he could be going to hospital, they say typhoid, sometimes malaria. They misdiagnosed. He was having ulcers. So in the process of that, so many worries, these ulcers were evaporated. They passed it. And he bled a lot. He vomited a lot of blood. So when we rushed him, that time I was in Jericho Church. So when we rushed him to KNH, he was admitted. And they said perforation of the stomach walls due to ulcers. So he was put on treatment. So we continued taking him for treatment. He was discharged. That time now is not working. So we started some business which was not bringing much. So he was in, out. Then when he was admitted maybe to operate him now, it got worse. As he was being attended, the condition just changed drastically. In the process, he called my son now who was in standard 6. He told him, I don't see whether I'm going to survive. In secrecy, I was not there. This is my son who came to tell. Take take care of the home.
Your firstborn was in class 6?
Yes.
And he was supposed to take care of the home?
Yeah.
Not you?
Not me, as a man, now in the future. Because he came to tell me, Dad told me 1, 2, 3. Take care of the home. So when we saw the condition is changing, some people from the church were coming. We had an elder called Elder Murioki. He came to encourage him. And he told him, my brother, you know God. Now, if anything, you know God. Talk to God what you want to talk. So from there, we finished like 2 days. He slept. Yes.
So here you were with 5 children?
Yes.
Firstborn in class 6. How old was the youngest?
The youngest, like standard pre-unit.
Pre-unit?
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, I'm just looking at these small children here.
They were small.
How? I mean, it's a very obvious question to ask, but really, what went on in your mind when now you knew that it's finished?
Medics, sometimes, sometimes they don't know how to pass a message, or it depends who you have gotten. Like when I went, I saw the condition was not good. I went outside. A few minutes, when I was going in, I found the doctor who was attending him telling me he has gone in the corridor.
Just like
so
that.
I heard the words from here passing through
the other ear.
Yes. Good enough, there were church members in the hospital, so they took me home. That's how it was.
But Joyce, I mean, when you went home that first day, you knew that he's not coming back here alive, really. Did you see God in terms of how your children will grow at that point?
Yeah. Growing in a Christian family is something good. Because my elder sister lost her husband in 1990. So when she was mourning, that time my father was alive. She told her, my daughter Rukia, I've brought up you in a Christian way. You know God. That is what I can tell you. I have nothing to offer you. Only God will take care of you. So I had those words that time, 1990. So now when it was my turn, those words came to my mind. But that time my father had died. No, he was still alive. So now I said, God, your word says don't put... Those are the words which came into my mind. God, you say don't put your trust on man. Man is just like grass, which with us. Now I kept quiet. People came, started singing, encouraging me. Now I said, God will sustain me. I'm working. God will sustain me. I just encouraged myself like that. So when we went for burial now, when we reached home that day, when we were now crying, people are coming, my parents, my mother told me, stand firm. Don't worry so much. There's nothing you can do. Remember the words which your father says. So I kept quiet. Later, yes, I mourned. But what could I do? But when death has come, there is a lot of experience which you have as an individual. People run away from you. You are left alone. whether your brothers, only the parents, if they are alive, they are the ones who can support you. That is my experience. Your parent is the only one who can support you, and the believers in Christ. All your brothers, those who have been changed in their hearts. Yes.
So really, number one, widowhood is a very unique experience. There are no two experiences that are similar. But the truth is that when a spouse lives, like in your cases, you found solace and comfort in God.
Yes.
So secret number one is the person who trusts in God. And the person who finds brothers and sisters in the church.
Yes.
Because as I listened to both of you, there was a lot of closeness and support from your local church.
Oh, yes.
And you know what? It is not in vain that you become a member of a church, of a fellowship. Because ultimately, at some point, these people turn out to be the closest.
Amen.
But it also means that you have to be closer to other people. You know, you don't expect people to be closer to you when you have been keeping your distance. When you sit at the back bench, you are the first one to walk out of the church. You don't visit other people when they're bereaved, when they are sick. We must build a community of believers. We'll just take a short break. And when we come back, we ask ourselves, so how does life move from the point where you now know that your spouse is buried, your loved one is buried, and they are not actually coming back to speak to you, to offer any support? How do you move on? What do you do? Joyce says she found help from brothers and sisters in the Lord and her parents. Hepzibah says she found help from the church. But how did they move on? Because church members did not come there to stay with them. How did they move on? So don't go away. Welcome back to Hope Channel Kenya. The program is Siri ya Ushindi. My name is Catherine. I'm always very excited to know that you're watching Hope Channel Kenya. And in our earlier part of the program, I introduced our guests, Mrs. Hepzibah Nyamwange, a member of Nairobi South Seventh-day Adventist Church. And by the way, she's a master guide. If you want to know, I'll give her a program one of these days so she can come in uniform and she shows you the drills. But she's very keen on bringing up children in the ways of the Lord. So she's very committed to teaching children. Can you imagine at her age? And then we have Mrs. Joyce Bundi. Joyce Bundi is a member of Parkland Seventh-day Adventist Church. In our first part, we started by looking at what life was like when they had spouses and those good moments. But you know what? Things changed and they both lost their husbands. Sickness that drained their resources, that left them with children to take care of, take to school, take to church, feed. They were left with responsibilities of two people. But the good news is they said they had brothers and sisters in the believers, in the churches that they went. And so to the extent that they needed that support in terms of spiritual support, they had it. But they had needs to be met. And that's the area we want to explore now. So, Mrs. Nyamwange, so you buried your husband and came back. You have 9 children, 3 married, but you had 6 mouths to feed and take to school. How did you do that?
Well, I don't even know how it happened, but God is able. God is able. When I came out of Kisii to Nairobi, I didn't know how to start, because I had no single cent. To start with, my 2 children were in Baraton, which means they could also come home and stay with me. But good luck, they were on holiday, and you know their holiday is longer than any other holiday. So we had a little fundraising, and this fundraising was to support the boy up to a certain level. Then we know how to go on. So it came to the end of the term, they were going back. So my people came home and told my daughter, since you are in the first year, it's better you give your brother a chance, because the money we have is little. Even we will sit down again and raise for him. So we have decided you come out of Baraton and we look for you something else. I tell you, this child cried. In the morning, his eyes were swollen. Her eyes were swollen. Then the brother was passing and they met in the corridor. He said, Carol, what's happening? Why are your eyes swollen? She told his brother, you don't know what I'm going through. But these people don't understand that God can provide. Everyone who came here to comfort us said, God will provide, God will provide. Now are they staying for nothing? Let me go and plant myself in Baraton and see how God cannot provide. Why can't they let me go? Then Joseph said, Carol, I think you can go and leave me here. I will sell vegetables with my mom and you will see me in Baraton. Carol said, no, I'll not use even a single cent of yours. I want to go and plant myself in Baraton and see how God will not provide. God is a miraculous God. Why are people doubting God? And so Joseph asked Carol, have you ever fasted? Carol said, no. How will that happen? He said, please, let us try. You choose 1 day or 2 days. We fast and pray to God. God will provide. Carol agreed, okay, not 4 or 3 days, but 2 days. So they started fasting. The first day I didn't know my people did not eat. The second day is when I'm wondering, why are people not eating? I said, no, Mommy, we are fasting. Why? Because you listen to Carol. God will provide. So I joined them.
Amen.
The second day. At the end of the day, Joseph had made some choice that when we break our fast, we'll drink and then wait for supper. So when we were at the table, we have prayed, we have broken the fast, and we wanted to serve the juice. We hear a knock. Who is coming? Our head deacon called Moso, who was working with all African tours and hotels, comes. And we welcome him. He did not attend my husband's burial, so he came to say, Pole. How we drank the juice and said, Sister Nyamwange, where did you get this juice from? I said, Joseph made. Here in this house? Yes. I tell you, sister, if my company agrees that you supply this juice, it will cater for these children who are in Baraton. I said, sure. Wow. I said, tomorrow, Joseph, make 3 liters. Let your mother bring to the depot in Mombasa Road. If she's given a tender, I tell you, you'll have no problem. And that's what happened. I took the juice. Everybody tasted. The chairman said, order this juice.
Amen.
I had an order as I went home singing, praising God.
Amen.
Singing, God can provide. God, you can provide.
Amen.
So when I reached home, I didn't have money to start. I called one of my brother-in-law because the few shillings we gathered for the children, especially for Joyce, I said with my brother-in-law, because you cannot sign
Yes.
or alone. So I was with my brother-in-law. Said, now I've gotten the tender, but before they go to school, I can use it because it is a business that is going to bring money. I'm sorry, he banged the phone. He said, don't ever think about that money. Never. And he banged. In a little while, my sister called. She was working with ICDC, commercial. And I broke the news to her. And she said, just now, come with those papers of your store in Kenyatta Market. We'll give you a loan.
Amen.
So I went. They gave me around 60,000. It was given in cash. So I went. First of all, I could look for the machine, the deep freezer, which is long, which can contain about 100 jerry cans of 5 liters. So I went to Chumi with her because she wanted to purchase in her name because they are given discount. It was around 47. And then she told me, now, because I'm in the office, go to Kichabe Road. There's an Asian who sells, who is, they're having a hover. That's where I went. When I reached there, I chose the deep freezer. They told me it's about 37. 10,000 less.
Amen.
And so the head of that company came and saw my forms, and he saw the name Nyamwange. And he came to me and said, Mama, which Nyamwange is this? Nyamwange of City Council or Nyamwange of Ex-Telecoms? I said, Nyamwange of City Council. Oh, he was my friend. He had put up the zeros in Nakuru for us. He has done this go down in industrial area. He was my friend. I was in London when he passed away. Oh, okay. He said, boys, which machine did she choose? They showed him. No, give her that one. And let her pay 27,000.
Okay. So from
10 less.
47
Discount.
to
From
37
that 7, yes,
to 27.
27.
So you have 20,000 more.
Yes. And asked me, do you have a machine for making juices? I said, yes, I have a blender. He said, no. Do you have for the person? I said, no. He showed me a big machine costing that 7,000. I said, I don't have money. I said, don't worry. When you have paid fees, those 3 months they are at home, they are at school. When you are paid, you will pay me little by little. And he gave me that machine for passion alone. I didn't know there was
a machine for
passion alone. So he gave me again. He asked me, do you have for the orange or for the fruits? I said no. He gave me another one for 2,000. He said, that one you can pay now. So I paid. I paid for the deep freezer and for the orange. And they gave me 4 sacks. I said, when are you going to start? I said, on Tuesday I have to deliver the juice. Now I will give you 4 sacks. One for the remains of orange and for the lime. All this you put for me and you take to my factory. But no, my boys will come and collect them. And I will give you 2,000 per each sack.
So whatever left
the remains.
after you've made juice, somebody was again buying?
Yes, buying the remains. And I asked him, what are you going to do with the remains? That's where we make marmalade, charm from there. Have you ever tasted marmalade jam?
Mm-hmm.
It tastes like
Long
fruits.
time, so.
Yes. So he did that, and I paid him as he said. We agreed until Joseph finished school. Carol also finished school. But when Carol went, I had gotten a check of 43,000. I was lacking by 10,000. And I called Professor Mutinga. Asked Professor, my daughter, please don't give her all subjects, because if you don't have enough money,
They give you less
subject. Give, because I'm going to pay. It will not take long. And he called his wife, Gloria, and asked her, Gloria, Sister Nyamwange is calling you. Talk to her. Said, you remember I didn't go for the funeral, I was sick. No, just you have a chance now, talk to her. So she talked to me, and he told her, she's lacking 10,000. What can you do about it? So my sister Gloria paid that for Carol, and Carol joined the marathon.
Man.
When she was finishing, they graduate in July.
Mm-hmm.
In February, my sister Wino came with a paper in my house. African tours and hotels have gone to receivership. What are you going to do, Sister Nyamwange? And it is the one which is helping you. I said, come. I have finished. I paid everything. Carol is going to graduate in July.
Amen.
Come for a drink, for soya drink.
Amen.
And we thank God. Lift the Lord by thanking him.
So the Lord gave you money.
Yes.
From the day they were stuck to the day they finished.
Yes.
So by the time they finished, the tender also went.
Oh, the tender went. It was given for that reason.
Isn't
So
that the Lord?
as Carol said, God will provide.
He provided.
He provided.
Wow.
I told you, my brother-in-law came and they said, Mommy, I'm so sorry. I have, because there's a time they asked Carol, have you ever seen money, God dropping money from heaven?
Mm-hmm.
So don't trouble Ebsiba, my sister-in-law. Please agree that we take you to
Somewhere else.
Somewhere else.
But God literally made money drop from heaven.
Amen.
Through a tender.
I think many, when my brother-in-law was not really a strong churchgoer, he became stronger.
Amen.
The Lord used that
Experience.
that experience, and my brother-in-law came back to God.
Amen.
Amen.
Wow. Joyce, standard 6. So what did you do when you left Kisii?
When I left Kisii, I came back. Now I had a few days to be in the house before I resume work. Now I was wondering how will I manage these children. As I was wondering, sometimes I cry, sometimes I pray. And I said, now what I should do, I have to be strong in the church.
Mm-hmm.
These children are young. They have to be strong in Pathfinder and adventurous. And they joined. They were very strong in adventurers and Pathfinders. And I was working. Even now, because of 60 years, I could have retired, but still I have 1 year to go. So, that time we were not paid much. Now I started giving my tithe. Sometimes I don't give. I said, now God, I have to make a covenant with you. I have to walk with you. Don't leave me. Maybe I leave you. That's the covenant I made. I know you can't leave me. Sometimes it is me who will leave you. Hold my hand. I could budget the money I told my children, come and see my payslip. This is what I get. Don't stress me so much. Now they wondered, Mom, this is what you get? How are we going to survive? I said, God says he's the father of the fatherless. He's going to provide. Yes. So whatever I find, you eat. If I pay school fees little by little, you understand. So what I did now, when my firstborn finished high school, she joined Kenya Polytechnic. She did a course in hospitality, just certificate only. Because there was no money, she didn't continue. So when the second born also, I said, now these children have to go to the Adventist schools. Now, even before my husband died, the firstborn, we were pulling each other. Which school? I said, let us take this child to either Buruburu or to Karura. No. So the child went to a school which is not Adventist. But when he passed, I said, I have to reorganize myself. So I took my son to Karura. He was at Karura, he did from Karura. So when he finished from Karura, my budget is still tight. I moved from the house we were staying, we went to a smaller house. Yeah, children started adjusting. There was no option. Sometimes my brother can assist me. I also had a sister-in-law who was also a widow. Sometimes widows, when you are in the same boat, you assist each other. She could understand. Sometimes she chips in. Her children were small and she was having a good job. My brother assisted me a little, my sister a little. So when my son did Form 4, I said, now, this one has not gone to do maybe diploma and continue college. The other one now has finished. What do I do? So I said, now I want you go, you do this course of counseling. Counseling and visiting. He accepted. He had no option. He accepted. He said, no, ma'am, I can go. So he went. My sister-in-law paid for him. He did a course in visiting and counseling. So in the process, he got a little job. He was paid like 12,000. Now I told him, what do you do? I take loan from my circle. The little money you get, you also chip in to pay school fees. So he started a diploma of social work, Nairobi University. He was paying, I was paying. He was paying, I was paying. And then he finished. As he finished, you know, sometimes there's no work. So he said, Mom, what can I do? He said, I can hustle. He started hustling by himself. He said, now, since I have done this course, there is no job. Let me do what I can start my own business. So he started his own business with challenges. That is what he's doing even now.
Amen.
His own business. And then when he was in the university, the other one now, when she finished Form 4, the lady now, my daughter, in Buruburu Girls. Buruburu Girls, I had challenges. The school fees was high. I went to school, we talked with the class teacher, and I thank Mrs. Mtonga was there. She was my church member. She knew my history. So they said, what you get, you bring. She finished Form 4, she did exam with a balance of 50,000. So when she finished, she passed. Now I told her, you have to stay out until this one finishes school, and then you join. She agreed. She was out for 2 years. Now Now people were asking, a girl to be out for 2 years, she's going to elope herself, or get frustrated, or be cheated. I used to talk to them. They go to church. They were strong in youth. So when my son finished, I told her, now I want to take you to Paraton. She said, no, Mom, I'm not going to Paraton. Where do you want to go? Because me, I was saying you have to go to Adventist University. I'm not going to Paraton. Where do you want to go? USIU. How much school fees? So we quarreled. I said, okay, you can go where you want now. How much? It was a lot of money. Now where am I going to get this money from? There's one in Kisii High School. You are going to USIU. The other one, she's in primary. Where am I going? I have to pay rent, you eat. I have to go to do everything. I've taken loan. This is a pay slip. Now she said, you are the one to see what you can do. Finally, she went to USIU. She did ABM, business admin. I struggled with the school fees, and she was cooperating. Sometimes, these days universities, if you delay, they are also doing business. There is what we call what?
So you pay with interest?
With interest. Yeah, oh, no. I could pay with interest. So I continued like that. She finished school, USIU. Now there is no job. She's out. The one in Kisii school, the same thing. My sister-in-law agreed to pay for us, maybe this term, another term, no. Like that we continued. He finished. Now I asked him, what do you want to do? Since I've gotten this grade, I want to do engineering, ICT. Okay, let us go to KU and see. When we went to KU, he was told, now you can't do engineering, maybe you do BCom. I told him, why can't you start BCom then? No. Okay, wait a bit and then maybe you realize and do. BCom is broad. There is marketing, there is finance, there is... No, Mom, that is not my interest. Now I said, what do I do? I waited. This one finished school. As she finished school, she went and did an interview at HELP as a casual. The one who finished USIU. A few days she was called. She joined HELP. Now she was working as a casual, paid 12,000, a graduate. I was wondering, me, I thought you are finishing school, you support me. And I said, God, do you know why? She's having experience now. She can buy her own airtime, whatever. These things for daughters they love. I said, it's okay. Then the one, that son of mine, now I took him to KU later. He did BCom. As he was doing BCom, now this one is over. He said, Mom, I don't want this course. Now what do you want? You are forcing me to do what I don't want. Even when I was sitting outside there, I found 2 women saying they took their sons to BCom. They have never been employed. I think God was speaking to me. Now I said, surely, Emmanuel, what are you saying? 2 years, I've taken loan. You want to change the course, and my money to go to just like that. I know you will say like that, but I don't want that course. Now I said, God, now what do I do? 2 years. And I was doing parallel. 200,000 is gone. Now I said, now what do I do? Now I said, because my daughter, now you have wasted 2 years, you have wasted money, you wanted to start afresh as a first year again. Let me take him to USIU, see my finish quickly. Because
so you
now
again moved him to another university.
Yes. And they sent some grades, but the grades were not
Accepted.
Others were not accepted there because of changing the course to IT. Now she started afresh. So as we continue, sometimes I remind him, do you know I wasted my money? Do you know my 200?
But he's doing it.
Yeah, he's doing, he's almost finishing.
What you are saying here, Joyce, is that the Lord has actually educated your children.
The Lord, me, I just say, when you make a covenant with the Lord, He can't leave you.
So here you are, 2 ladies who are left with young people.
Yes.
That needed to go to school, and God gave a tender that lasted for as long as they were in school.
Yes.
That your little money, I can listen to you and I see your 2 children each earning 12,000 at some point. And somehow they are in school.
Yeah.
They are finishing.
Yeah.
Soon you will not have a child
in
that
school.
you are paying fees for. Maybe your retirement God added so that you can make sure that they are all done with
Yes.
school. Wow, that's a story of faith. I'm sure someone out there is just wondering, can that happen to me? Can that tender come to me someday? You know what? God has something for each one of us. It may not come in the form of a tender, it may not come in the form of a loan and a small job, but God never leaves His children. And if you want to know, Psalms 37:25, David says, I was a young man and I am old, and I've never seen the righteous forsaken or their children begging bread.
Amen.
That's the beauty about life, and God has a portion for each one of us. These ladies are very special. They love the Lord, and that makes a huge difference in their lives.
Amen.
I don't know if you can consider God when everything has failed, although He shouldn't be the last option. He should actually be the first option. When everything has failed, God is. And as we wind up this show today, I want to encourage you to turn to God. And I can see Ms. Nyamwangi opening a verse here. Do you want to read the last verse for us?
Yes, I wanted just to Titus, 1 Timothy 6 verse 6. You have a Bible?
Yes.
1 Timothy 6 verse 6.
You can read.
Okay. My Bible says, it's NIV. It says, but godliness with contentment is great gain. Godliness with the contentment is great gain. These words entered in my life with life. And I realized I was not contented. I was asking God so many questions. But when I read here, but godliness, I want to be a godly woman. But I am not contented with what God has given me. Does it mean He was not there when my husband slept? He knew. He measured it, my temptation, and He knew I will go through.
Amen.
So let me hide in You, Lord. You are able to sustain me, to give my children, my family members all that they need, because You know what they need.
Wow. Contentment,
Godliness
comes when you really have the Lord. We will stop here for today. I can see my director is shouting at me that we are done, but you know what? We have a next show. So don't miss to join us, because we will find out how these ladies have moved on to find others like them and brought them together for encouragement. God bless you.
Amen.
Until we see you again.
Amen.